Dream. How about
I hear you.
yourself? Good,
I'm doing good.
good. Are we waiting for anyone else on your side, or is it just you and I?
Just the two of us.
Just the two of us. Okay. You can hear me okay, and you can see my screen?
Yes. I do have to inform you of something real quick.
Okay.
If I have, if my payroll representative from our current payroll company calls me, I'm just gonna have to jump over and talk to her for just a second, and then I'll be back. We're just having a slight payroll issue, and so I asked her to call me. I just don't know when she's gonna call me.
Okay, not a problem. Yeah, just
So I'm
just
just
let me know.
kind of giving you the heads up. So
No, no, thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, it's not a problem. So, and we can just dive right into this. So, I do the sales for Swipe Clock. Been doing it for a few years, so very familiar with what the system can do, the capabilities, the customizations. How did you hear about Swipe Clock?
what I did is just kind of did like an online thing of clocks, and I guess they sent all my information out to a bunch of different companies that have time and attendance, and so that's how that you got my number.
Okay, cool. Well, so a little background on Swipe Clock. We specialize in time and attendance, scheduling. We've got recruiting and onboarding and even some HR solutions. So we're kind of a full suite of workforce management solutions. Everything's cloud-based. Everything is a monthly subscription, so there's no annual contracts. It's just pay as you go. Um, we're located in Utah, and we partner with payroll providers. So depending on how you process payroll, there's a chance that they may be a partner of ours, which makes things just much easier, not only from a billing perspective, but also in terms of functionality and communicating the data into payroll. So I see here that you guys currently use Paycom. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And are you going to stay with Paycom, or will you be moving away from them?
We are actually, so what is happening right now is we did not have, we're a hospital, a rural hospital, and we did not have an EMR system for our providers to enter billing information and patient information into. So we're actually we just started an implementation on switching over to Meditech. And with that, they have an in-house accounting, GL, payroll system. And so we're moving everything in-house. So we're actually moving away from Paycom, but Meditech does not have a time and attendance. So we have to utilize a third-party vendor in order to have time and attendance and scheduling. So that's kind of what my goal is, to try and find just time and attendance and scheduling, and that's it, because we're going to be able to utilize their system for everything else.
Sure. Well, Swipe Clock is very universal. Both the timekeeping and the scheduling features are extremely user-friendly. So we don't offer an off-the-shelf platform. It's going to be custom tailored to your specific needs. We offer a white glove service, so we build everything out for you. We just work with you and your team to get everything all set up. We offer trainings, so it's really simple to get started, and there's really little to zero legwork on your end, right? We just get everything ready, get you guys trained and using the system. Okay, and then in terms of extracting the data, most platforms like ours will be able to run reports, to show different information. Something as simple as, say, a summary report that would show total hours worked with, overtime, holiday pay, if you guys need sick or vacation, all of that's separated out, and then you can save it into a report that you can quickly import into most payroll platforms through a simple CSV format.
Okay.
Right. So the goal is to not have any manual data entry. That's just time consuming, and human errors can happen, and we just want to get away from that.
Exactly.
Right. So tell me a little bit more about what you're looking for. So how many employees did you need to track time for?
So on a biweekly basis, we pay about 130 to 135 employees.
Okay.
But obviously, we do have more employees that are in the time clock system, and the reason being is because we have PRN employees. So those are people that we call in. It's an as-needed basis. So it's not like they work every single pay period, but they will still be an employee within the time clock system, if that makes sense.
It sure does. Yeah. And the way that our system works is it actually bills in arrears. So it will look at the previous month's activity, and there's just a cost per employee per month, right? Your $4 per employee per month. And it doesn't matter if they clock in one time or 100 times throughout the month, you'll see that $4 charge. Now, you do have the ability to go in there and add as many employees as you want. You can also deactivate employees. We don't delete anything. We want to retain their data. But let's say, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, you've got an employee, they work 1 month and then they skip a month or two. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
deactivate them if the system doesn't recognize any usage coming from that employee when it resets a month, then you simply just won't be billed for that employee. And then when they
So
come back,
when you say usage, does that mean what if they just log in to look at past history time, or is it just when they utilize the time system for clocking in and out?
correct. So usage is considered activity on the time card. And there's
Okay.
3 ways to generate activity on a time card. You've got punching a clock, so recording time. You've got being thrown onto a schedule, so you're actively being scheduled. Or the third one is if we're tracking their PTO or their sick leave. And there's different ways that our system can do the PTO tracking, right? That's all custom. So
Mm-hmm.
whether they accrue it based on the type of employee that they are, how long they've worked there, how many hours they work, and they have to earn it over each and every pay period, versus
Mm-hmm.
after 90 days of employment, you give them X amount of hours per year, and that is just something that they use and lose throughout the year, and then it just resets. So you can do like an
Mm-hmm.
accrual, or you can do a lump sum, or you can do both. So we're very universal
Right.
in that way, right? So those are the 3 ways
Okay.
that you can generate activity. So if you're concerned about that, then the easiest way to bypass that is just to go in there and identify that employee and mark him deactivated. Then
Yeah.
when they
I
come
mean,
back,
that's not much of a concern because most of the time those people do not accrue PTO because they're an on call basis. So the only
perfect,
time they actually would be clocking or utilizing the clock would be just to clock in and out when they have their shift.
perfect, yeah. So if you don't deactivate them, but they're not using the system, they can still log in um, to their employee self-service portal. But I don't
Mm-hmm.
really see why they would, considering they're not punching a clock, we're not tracking their PTO. So really, it's like it's there, but I don't have any information to look at. So
Right.
okay, cool. So is everyone full-time, part-time, salary, mixture?
Mixture.
Mixture, okay. And
Mm-hmm.
you want to put everyone into the same system?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we kind of have. Well, let me rephrase that. So we have. We're just. I'm trying to see how I can explain this. So we have a hospital, but we also have a portion of the hospital that is a 501c3. With that, all our providers are moving from Affinity Health Partners to Centennial, which is a 501c3. Some of those employees, some of those providers get paid on an hourly basis. So therefore, we would have to have two setups to be able to transfer time instead of one. Does that make more sense?
It does. And there's a couple different ways that we can set the system up, because in the system, the employees will have a personal profile. And in that profile, you can define the type of employee that they are: full-time, part-time, salary, 1099. If they work for the 501c3, I think that's nonprofit, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you can go in there and label them, and everyone can be housed under the same account. You can even classify them by location, department, supervisor, a bunch of different data fields. Then when you're
Mm-hmm.
ready to run payroll, um, you get a handful of standard reports in our system, and they're all extremely simple. But you can filter out information. So if you just wanted to look for the 501c3 employees or the part-time or full-time employees and get a list of their names and how much time they worked, you can easily do that. The one thing
Is
that
it
we want,
easily done when you export the file out as well?
yes, Yeah.
Okay.
So you can lump them together in the same report and just have a column that will show the type of employee that they are. Or you could run
Mhm.
separate reports. Here's my full-time, here's my 501c3. So you've
Okay.
got the flexibility there.
All right.
The only thing that we want to be mindful of is, as long as we're tracking the pay periods, so everyone gets paid the same, they're all on the biweekly.
Yeah,
Their
they
work
do. Yep.
weeks, okay. Their work
Yep.
weeks are the
Everything's
same.
the same.
Everything's the
Yep.
same. Okay, then that's not a
Yep.
problem.
Everything's the same. Hmm.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So tell me how you envision a system working best for you. So with our system, you've got multiple methods for employees to record time. So you've got a mobile app, we can do GPS tracking. You've got web-based clocks, so computers and tablets. It's just a website that they log on to. And we also do physical clocks, so wall-mounted clocks that have pin entries, proximity badges, fingerprints, facial recognition, and you can use a combination. So you decide which employees use which clocks, or they can use multiple clocks, and then all of that information is automatically sent to the management portal. So our system acts in real time. So the moment I pull out my phone or walk up to the clock, I clock in, you can actually see that updated in the management portal. Okay, so once we
Okay.
decide which clocks and how you want the employees to engage, the rest is very, very simple. Everything pools together online. You've got a portal. Management can go into that portal. There's different layers of access. So you can have an admin where they can make administrative changes. They can turn features on or off. They can see all the employees, so complete visibility. But then you could shrink that down to, say, a manager or a supervisor view or login and assign them a particular department or group of employees to just manage those time cards, right?
Hmm.
Alleviate you being the only person going in there and fixing mistakes, running reports. Well, let's give Bill access just to his team so that when payroll is due, he can go in there, review their time cards, make sure it's accurate, kick it over to me, and I just do a quick glance, and then I
Hmm.
just retrieve the data and send it into payroll. Okay, so the
Okay.
system is extremely user friendly, no matter how you use it. Okay, so give me an idea. How are you envisioning a system working best for you and your team, but also your employees?
Um, I'm really not at the hospital. They currently have a couple time clocks, and I might lead them away from them just because they are cost effective, um, instead of being web based. But I probably need to get a quote on both time clocks and non time clocks just to kind of give them the difference. Okay, you're going to lease. I don't know if you guys lease time clocks or not. If you're going to lease a time clock or purchase a time clock, it's going to cost you this amount additional on an annual basis versus utilizing a kiosk for, with a computer or something like that.
Sure. So the $4 price tag includes the mobile app and the web-based clock.
Okay.
Okay, so you get both. The only upcharge from there is if you wanted the GPS features on the mobile app. That would be a $30 per month charge, and that covers every single person. And you can turn that GPS tracking on or off. It's not a constant tracking. It's just I pull out my
Hmm.
mobile phone, I clock in, Google timestamps me and gives an address of my location.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not going to constantly track me throughout the day. We don't lease the clocks. It's just a one-time purchase. They range in price from about $650 up to about $2,500 with models that will take your photo, even take your temperature. Um,
Hmm.
and those, it's like I said, it's just a one-time purchase, but they do have a monthly service fee. It's a connection fee. It's $10 per clock. And that just ensures that the clocks transmit the data to our portal
Hmm.
effectively, right? And all those
Hmm.
clocks, they come with a limited lifetime warranty.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So we don't have any base charges here. We don't nickel and dime. You've just got the $4 per employee per month charge. And then you decide if you want, the GPS features, if you want a wall mounted clock,
Hmm.
which you can add at any time. And then we just have a small one-time setup and training cost, right? And that's off the top of my head, $300, $400, $500, just depending on some of the custom features that you may want,
Right.
right? So nothing egregious, and we typically get these systems set up in 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
Okay. So let
Okay.
me
So
kind of show you. Yeah,
here's
go ahead.
here's where we're going. I have to have a decision made on what time clock we're going to utilize by the end of January, but we would not be going live with this system until July 1. So
Okay.
that's kind of because we just started our implementation and it's a 6-month implementation. And so with us just starting our implementation, we wouldn't be able to, I mean, I need to make an agreement with somebody by the end of the month. So that way we can incorporate it in our implementation when we get to that process of, doing parallels with our old system and our new system, but we would parallel with the new time clock versus the old time clock.
Yeah, that's not a problem whatsoever.
So
I've got plenty
that's
of
kind of
clients
where we're
that.
heading.
Okay, no, that's great. Implementing a new ERM system, I'm sure, is big challenge. So you want to get settled into that before you plug in something else. So no, that's a good idea. And we have plenty of clients that will get um, like things ready, and then we'll just delay their start date. So I just make note on your account. So
Okay.
not uncommon whatsoever. Okay. So on your screen right now, you'll just see different clock models that we have. They're about the size of a tablet. They're all wireless, but you can hard connect them. So they do need an internet connection and a power source. So if you're going to be looking into wall mounted clocks, just be mindful of where you can mount them. But they're
Okay.
all extremely user friendly. They're all touch screen. It just depends on, do you want facial recognition, fingerprint option for a little bit more secure biometrics? Do you want a proximity card that they just swipe by a little sensor and then the menu pops up? Or do you want to assign them a pin? Right? I highly recommend clocks when you've got 75 or more employees, simply for the fact that the kiosk, something is up with my internet today. The website works great, and we can IP restrict it, or you can unlock it
Mm-hmm.
to every computer on your network. But if you use a central kiosk, it's just a little bit slower for employees to clock in, and it's a little bit less secure. So I could
Mm-hmm.
share my login credentials and have someone else clock in for me. But that's kind of the lag time, is I have to plug in my username, my password, and then I can hit the clock,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you're talking 5 to 7 seconds per login on the clock on the website versus a traditional wall-mounted clock, you're 2 to 3 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's just one thing to keep in mind. But a lot of clients will use the mobile phone as a buffer. So you get to decide who can use what clock. Everyone can have access to their self-service portal either online or through a mobile phone, but you as the admin can actually disable the ability for them to clock in and out.
Okay.
Okay. So the self-service portal just gives the employees access to their own personal time card. They can track their hours each day. It calculates everything out for them through the week, through the pay period. They can even approve their time cards, let management know, hey, I agree with the hours worked. They can send notes on particular days. So if they need to leave earlier or they make a mistake, they can quickly address that. They will have access to their schedule. And depending on what your scheduling needs are, whether it's a static schedule, so Bill works 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, I just need to create that and post it, or if you guys have a little bit more dynamic schedule where you've got someone creating a schedule 2 weeks out and it varies in shifts per day and Bill doesn't know what he's working from week over week, then we can post those here. Then you can even take it one step further and have employees engage with their schedule. So if they need to have the ability to pick up shifts or drop shifts or swap shifts with colleagues, you can give them the ability to do that. They can also tell you their preferences. So they can actually go into their portal and say, hey, Monday through Friday, here are the days and times that I prefer to work. Here's what I don't really care, but here are days and times that I have conflicts. So that way when management is creating the schedule, they will be alerted. And of course, they can override everything and still throw someone on the schedule, even if they get an alert with a conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's very engaging with management and staff members, right? We want to give staff complete visibility. When you publish a schedule, they can turn on notifications to receive push notifications or emails or texts. If I go in as a manager and adjust their schedule after I've published it, I can then also receive notifications that my schedule has been modified, right? So no more excuse, I didn't know about it. I didn't know what I was working today. Well, it's in the palm of your hand if you're using the mobile phone. Everything you need right
Right.
there, right? And then of course they've got their time off. So we just tell the system how you deal with PTO, who receives it, how they earn it, what the rules are, and they will always have the ability to check their totals and easily submit time off requests. Right? And then again, there's notifications that go out. So I submit a time off request, my manager's notified with a push notification or an email. He can see all the details so he can quickly approve or decline. Right? So all of that can be done on a mobile app, but it can also be done online through their service portal. Now, the portal also has access to the web clock, but if we tie it to your network and they log in from home, the clock won't work. So they have to be at the right location on the right computer in order for this clock to work.
Okay.
Okay. But again, all the same features. So they can check their time card. If they've got a mistake, they can see that. They can send a note. Hey, I forgot to clock out. Please fix this. I left at 5:30. Right. Check all their totals. Then they can come in here and check their schedule. And then if you want them to pick up open shifts, they can. I don't have any available for this employee, but it would list those out, right? They can click and view the details. So if you want to put in,
Okay, can you hold on 1 second? I got to see if this is who I need to talk to.
yeah,
I'll be right back.
yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. It wasn't who I needed to talk to, so.
No problem, no problem. So everything that an employee needs, they have available to them. Okay, time off.
Okay.
They've got a little calendar here, and the calendar will show just them, or you can open it up so they can see the same colleagues in their department, their location, or everyone. And then this is just an example of how we can set up the PTO. So you can create multiple buckets. Each bucket can have a different way of accumulating time. And then employees get to, select which bucket they want to pull from, select days off that they want to take, how many hours per day, or they could even get granular, right? So if they need to leave midday for an appointment or something, they can come in here and actually say, oh, I need to take 2 hours off in the middle of the day. So lots of flexibility there.
Okay.
Okay. Now on the clocks themselves, they are intelligent. So what that means is they're designed to record more than just in and out. They recognize when employees are clocked in, so employees can't clock in multiple times, create mistakes for management to fix. We can turn on the ability to track lunches and breaks. So if we need to put rules in place about, you need to take a lunch after 5 hours, it needs to be a minimum of 30 minutes, we can tell the system to track that. Now, we can also do transfers or gather information. So some clients, they need to do job costing or time allocation, or they need to know what department employees are working in when they arrive. So we can have what we call clock prompts. And that's just simply prompting the employee to give me information, right? Tell me what location you're at, what job you're doing. Is there an invoice that you're working in? These are just examples. So you can actually label these whatever you would like. And then you can have preset selections for them to choose from, or you can have it so they can type in whatever they want. So this could be helpful if you need to identify those 501c3 employees. You could have a drop-down menu, and only the 501c3 employees would have the ability, like, are you 501c3? Yes or no? Answer that question. Then on their time card, you would be able to see that information. So that would be one way to identify, or even the on-call personnel. Right? You could have a question that says on call, yes or no, after hours, shift work, you name it. So do you need to track anything like that?
We do have employees that work in multiple departments, not a lot of them. So we would have to be able to utilize them switching departments and allocating that time.
Sure. So yeah, whichever employees those are, we would just create a group. That group only would have the ability to give you the department, whether it's code or by name. It would be here in a drop-down menu. Then once they make their selection, they finish their punch. Then if they transfer midday, you've got the ability to transfer down here at the bottom. So I don't have to clock in and out. I just hit transfer and say, okay, now I'm going to this department and I'm doing, this job, and save it. And then we've got a report that would allow you to separate out those different departments and the time that they spent over the 2-week period. So if you needed to, invoice that department or bill it separately in payroll, you've got that information.
Okay.
Okay. So what do you think? Any questions?
Nope.
No? It's pretty simple, right? Very straightforward.
Yeah.
Actually takes me longer to talk about than it does to use.
Exactly.
So,
okay. Most of
okay.
them are pretty relevant and they're, similar in nature.
Yes. What changes is the back end, and I hope this didn't log me out again. And it did. I think I got to reset my computer. It's not happy today. So forgive this ugly navigation path. You won't have to do this. So you'll land on this screen right here. Okay, so this is the back end, the management portal. So this is where all the magic happens, right? This is what sets Swipe Clock apart, because all the custom scripting, right? I know it doesn't mean much to you, but a script allows us to track all sorts of different things, right? It's an if-then script, if-then policy, right? If the employee does this, if they clock in at this time, then we tell the system to track it this way, right? So the if-then policies is what separates Swipe Clock. But this is an extremely user-friendly portal. It is mobile responsive. You can access it from anywhere. And your navigation is on the left. So you've got main menu, time cards, maintenance reports, and settings. Okay, so if I just go down the list here, time off requests will populate in here. And again, you'll get notified, push notification and email. There's also a calendar, so your team can reference and see which employees have which days off. And then you just expand the boxes and you'll see all of the information about that time off request. Who made it, when, the bucket they're pulling from, how much time they want off, how much time they have available. But the nice thing is management can modify this. So I can change the hours. If they don't have enough time in a bucket that they've requested, I can change, which bucket they're pulling from. And if I make any modifications to this, it sends it back to the employee for approval, and they can deny or approve it. So you've got that constant communication. Okay. And then, of course, you've just got, what you've approved. Conditionally approved means I've changed the initial request and I'm waiting for the employee to approve it or decline it, and then reject it. Okay. I'll talk about scheduling here in a minute. Employee setup. So we'll get all the employees set set up in here for you, but you can actually go over the top, and this is where you would plug in, their start date. If you need to separate them from the system, just put in a separation date, and we retain all their records, but they just don't, we just tell the system they're inactive. And then this is where you can tell them which clock they get to use. And we're going to track you on the mobile phone. We're going to turn on GPS. We can enforce a schedule once we turn that on, meaning, hey, your shift starts at 8. I don't want you getting here at 7:30 and clocking in and then going having a cup of coffee in the coffee room. So your shift starts at 8. As soon as you can clock in is 7:55. Right? So we can put thresholds in place.
Okay.
Right? If we're going to use hardware, this is where we assign logins for the web clock, the mobile app, or give them PIN, set up their proximity badge. You can reset passwords because it's inevitable. Someone's going to forget. And then you've got the data fields. So this is where we would define those employees in the system, right? The employee type, what department they're in, because we can run reports and filter off of any of this information. So I just expanded my reports menu, and you'll see that you get 19 reports. All very simple to use. We train you. It's just what information do you want to see and in what format. But I can filter any of these by any of these departments or data points. Okay. Most of your time is in the time card section right here. So no matter what clock is being used, all of that information is going to populate on the employee time cards. So I just clicked on yesterday's view, and it will show me all of the information, who clocked in, who clocked out. I can hover over the entries and get details. If I've got a missing punch as a manager or a supervisor, I can quickly hit the edit button and change every line item across the board if I need to. So very simple to identify mistakes, make corrections, or add information in here. Okay, and then I can click on any one of these employees and it will just pull up their time card for the pay period. So we'll set up your pay periods, your work weeks, and that's what the time card will reflect. So this is the 1st through the 15th of January. And then of course we separate out the work weeks. We'll track overtime automatically. We just tell the system what's considered overtime and then what do we do with that overtime. And then just like on the employee side, everything is calculated out down at the bottom for us. Okay, now I can download this as a PDF. I can print these time cards. I can save them as a PDF if I need to send them to a different department so they can have an itemized look at the employee.
Okay, I gotta put you on hold 1 second, okay?
Okay.
Okay, sorry about that.
No problem at all. Are you still good or do I need to let you go?
Nope, you're good.
Okay. So, do you have any questions at all?
No, I do not.
No? Okay. So, like I said, the system is very user-friendly. We get you trained on it. Let's look at the scheduling. So our system, there's two different types of scheduling. So if you notice on this time card, I've got my schedule for this employee. Now, for $4 an employee, there is a basic scheduler, but it's mainly designed for a static set and forget schedule, right? Very little deviation. And then we can track alerts. So if they deviate from that schedule. If we need something a little bit more intelligent, a little bit more dynamic, it'll increase the cost to $6 per employee, but we get a full-blown intelligent scheduling platform, and that's called Time Simplicity. And that works in conjunction with timekeeping. But this is, like I mentioned, it's intelligent. So we can come in here and classify those employees much, much further. We can tell the system names, addresses, phone numbers, so we can text and email, have those notifications go out. We can put in thresholds for how many shifts they can work a week, the length of those shifts, put a min or a maximum amount of hours they can work. We can track certifications and have alerts go off if those certifications are nearing an expiration. We can define work groups so that employees can work in multiple departments if they're able and they're qualified. And then we can create different shifts, blocks of time for multiple work groups, get everything all set up. And then of course you've got their schedule preferences, right? So management can set this up for the employees and lock it down, or employees can come in here and change it, but the employee, no matter if it's swapping a shift, dropping a shift, changing preferences, it has to go through management approval. And it will populate on your home screen here under your alerts and warnings. And other items will populate too. If you've got open shifts, if you've got employees that don't show up, if someone wants to change or drop a shift, you name it. Okay, but the goal of this system is just to have a quick and easy way to create schedules for a large group of individuals, set them in different departments, classify those departments, and then publish out these schedules and communicate them quickly and effectively to staff members. So there's multiple ways that I could create a schedule. I've got my open shifts up here that I've created, so I can create shifts and different lengths of shifts and assign those shifts to different work groups or departments, and they'll populate up here for the week, and I can drag and drop to the necessary employee. I can right or just double click on a cell and name a particular shift, put in a start and stop time, lunch duration, add in notes, projects, and then it'll create that shift. And then from there, I can copy that and just paste it on every cell that I highlight. Another way is after you've created schedules a few times, the system will learn a pattern. So you can actually do an autofill of all of your open shifts for the week or for the month, right? However far out in advance you like to create schedules. And then this will just auto-populate based on the algorithm and the recognition of how you've been creating schedules. But it's not set in stone. So that'll just give me a foundation. So I can go back in and modify shifts. I can create split shifts if people need to work in multiple departments. So just very, very simple. So tell me, how do you schedule now? Like, do you have a dynamic schedule, or does everyone kind of work more of a static schedule? Are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh. So can you tell me a little bit more about your scheduling?
I honestly can't tell you more about the scheduling because it's done at the hospital level. I could probably try and get you some more information, then send it over to you. But right now they utilize a third-party vendor, and that's just for the nurses. So we're trying to find a system that we can utilize the scheduling across the board in all our departments. but I don't really know a lot about the schedule, so I can't really speak to it.
Okay. But I imagine it's pretty dynamic, right? You've got nurses, you've got doctors, you've got technicians, and they all work different shifts throughout the week, right? Just
Yes,
standard hospital.
yes,
Okay.
yep.
So this platform would work extremely well. Um, I know that because I've signed up multiple healthcare facilities that actually use this program, and it's very,
Okay.
very effective for them, right? Just because we can create departments, but employees that work across several departments, not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it's shift-based work, you just create those shifts of time for those departments, and we can just assign out those shifts, split shifts, you name it. So
Okay.
very simple, right? So that's what I would
It
recommend.
looks simple. I mean,
Yeah, it's very simple, and we train you on everything. But after you use it a few times, I mean, you can publish schedule 2 years out in advance in the system if you want, right?
okay.
But it communicates with timekeeping. So what's big about this one is the notifications, right? What happens if an
Mm-hmm.
employee doesn't show up for work? Well, this system will notify the employee, hey, you're not at work. Yes, I know. It'll notify the manager. And the manager can quickly come in here and get a list of people and bulk text or email them, hey, I've got an open shift. Who can get here the fastest?
Mm-hmm.
So it's very easy. And like I said, it's just designed to keep management and staff together, get engaged, and give everyone visibility, right? So there's no question. So,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
okay. Um, and then you've got reports. So if you wanted to look at, hey, here's what was scheduled versus here's what the employee actually worked, you've got a few different reports that you can actually look at, right? Like labor costs, labor forecasting if you need to, coverage views. So that's all in here as well. But
Okay.
ultimately, right, we want to get the time data out and into payroll. And that's very, very simple. So if I just go to my reports menu, there's a number of different reports that you can run. So you could look at, say, a labor report and just define your pay period. And if you want to look at all active employees, or if you want to separate out by groups, departments, then you just come through and you click what am I looking for? Am I looking for a specific department or job or location? Then I can run that report and it will split up and give me that information, right? Here's the
Okay.
job, here's the department, here's how many hours were allocated. I can go deeper and I could run a summary report and get the same information, but just in a little bit different format. So I could show the employee code, I could show the employee department, but it'll also show what areas they're working in, how many hours they've worked over that pay period, everything just separated out,
Right.
right? So would that work for you in terms of being able to identify departments? Are you
Yes.
billing each department separately? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. Well, through payroll, we have to cost it out. And so it's going to have to be costed out in the timekeeping. So when it comes over to the payroll system, that way we can cost it out appropriately for the GL department.
Okay. Yeah, so that's very easily done. So this report right here, if you wanted to run one report and have all the employees together, we could just show the department, which employee, and then how many hours they've worked in each one of those departments. Very simple. If you wanted to shrink it down and just have separate reports for each department, you can do that as well.
Okay.
Right? Because what we'd like to do, or what you can do, is you can create employee groups. And this is extremely helpful because I can quickly create a new group, right? What's the name of this group? Who can see this group? So am I assigning it to the admin or a specific supervisor? And then I just say, who's in this group? And I just go and select all those 501c3 employees, label this 501c3. Now I've got a group of employees that I can quickly sort and find information on just those employees.
Okay.
Okay. So, I mean, that's the system at its root, but that's just the tip of the iceberg with what we can do in terms of tracking, customization, rules, notifications, but that's all something that as you get closer to getting set up, we work with your team and we just configure the system so that it works best for you.
Okay.
Okay. So what else can I show you? Anything at all?
I do have one question, and I haven't ran into this where a time clock can do this because it's just a time clock. We do on some of our employees have a stipend with the dollar amount. Can you guys customize it where we could put in a stipend for an employee?
So explain that a little bit further. I've heard this term a few times, but explain exactly how you'd need that to work.
A stipend is if, say that an employee picks up an extra shift, we're going to offer them an additional $250 to pick up that shift. So they would come in and clock in and out, but then they would also have a pay code called stipend where the manager would they currently put it in the time clock. Now they are able to add a pay code stipend. So when it comes over to payroll, that it automatically brings that stipend over. So that way, when they're doing the time cards, they put it in right then and there, and they don't forget about it. So that way, the employee gets paid that extra dollar amount.
The answer is yes, we can do that. There's a couple
Okay.
different ways. Right now, how are you identifying when that employee works that shift? Are they making note of it? Are they getting it approved from management? How is it getting recorded right now?
Well, they clock in and out, and then management goes in and adds it to that shift. So
Okay.
management knows that they're doing it, but management is the one that initiates the extra shift of the stipend in the system, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. So we could do it either way. If you wanted the employee to identify that, they could do it at the clock that itself when they're
Mm-hmm.
clocking in, right? So there would be a question that could say stipend or additional shift, yes or no, right? Whatever clock prompt we have, this has a relative column on the employee time card to display this information. So if I go back to a time card here, and we were messing around with Phil, or excuse me, Harry, you can see those transfers that I did earlier
Mm-hmm.
and the information that I recorded. So you could have the employee tell you, yes, this is an additional shift and I get that additional pay. If you wanted it
Okay.
just done on the back end like you're doing now, we would add an additional column up here and you would label that column stipend. We would also add an additional pay code or pay category and label it
Okay.
stipend. So that way, if they've worked their regular shift and they now are getting paid for an additional shift, I can add a separate line. So
Okay.
it's not going to affect their
Mm-hmm.
original shift, right? I would just add it in
Yep.
and say, yep, he started at 6, he left at 9, this is the stipend, and then here's how much he's getting paid for it, $250.
Okay. Perfect.
Yep. And then we would just make sure that that pay code in our system aligns with payroll so that when it's sent over and uploaded, everything aligns.
Okay.
Not a problem. Right? So that's just one of the custom things that we can add to track on the time card, right? We
Mm-hmm.
do bonuses, commissions, mileage, reimbursements. We do that all the time. No problem.
Okay. Perfect.
Yep.
Some don't, so that's why that's one of the questions I have to ask.
No, that's a good question. It's not uncommon, right? In fact, I just signed up a home healthcare facility last week, and they needed reimbursements and mileage. So that's why I actually built
Right.
in
Mm-hmm.
these extra columns here just to show them that.
Okay.
Right?
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. That's all my questions I have then.
Okay. Well, I recorded this session, so I will send you a copy. You can share it with your team. I will also send you a cost proposal, and I use
Okay.
DocuSign. So you can open it up, you'll see the charges, you'll see your reoccurring monthly cost, and then the one-time setup fees. Do you want me to throw a clock on there?
Yeah. Go ahead and throw one on there. And also, do you have like a little pamphlet of a summary of like your company and stuff like that?
I don't, but I can give you the link on our website here.
Okay.
And it talks about Swipe Clock. Like, we've been around for 20 years. We were actually one of the first
Mm-hmm.
companies to offer a digital time and attendance solution. So we've got 1 million people that
Okay.
use this system every day. It's tried, tested, true. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'll
If you
send you
can send
this
that
link.
over to me, like I said, we're gonna make a decision by the end of January. So hopefully this quote won't be like a week long, like some of the ones I've had. I'm like, that's not gonna work because
Oh,
I
no.
got demos all the way up through next week. So
Oh, wow. No, I'll have you a quote by the end of the day. Um,
okay.
for the clock itself, what model are you thinking? Are you thinking proximity badge, pin entry, fingerprint,
Probably
facial recognition?
biometrics, the fingerprint.
Fingerprint. Okay. And then just quantity one, or do you think you'll need two or three?
3, please.
Okay, quantity 3. Okay. Well, Jenny, I appreciate your time. I hope your call comes in and you get your payroll debacle sorted out. I know that's a headache. I'll get this
Yeah.
over to
Sorry
you.
about that.
No,
Typically don't
no,
do that.
no apologies necessary. I know how it goes. Let me know if you have any additional questions whatsoever. I'll be happy to help you, okay?
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Okay, bye.